Hi, third grade. I have your lesson 110 math instructional video today. Our theme for lesson 110 is dividing by multiples of 10, and our objective is divide by multiples of 10. Now, the last time we had such a simple objective, it was dividing by 10, and then the objective was divide by 10. This is not as easy as dividing by 10. When we multiply by 10 and then when we multiply by multiples of 10, those are both pretty easy multiplication problems. When we're multiplying by 10, we can use identity property, and we know that whatever our other factor is in that multiplication problem, that's the answer with a 0 added to the end. And then if we're multiplying by multiples of 10, like 20, 30, 40, we can do offset multiplication and only multiply by the digit in the tens column and add a 0 to the end of our answer. Dividing by multiples of 10 is not as simple or as related to dividing by 10 as multiplying by 10 and multiplying by multiples of 10. But this lesson is going to help us with dividing by two-digit divisors. So this is the first time that we are going to be dividing a 2 or a 3-digit dividend by a double-digit divisor. And 10 is the easiest, multiples of 10 are the easiest two-digit numbers to divide by. So this will get us ready for doing double-digit divisors when it's not a multiple of 10. Remember, a multiple of 10 would be any number that you get when you're multiplying a factor by 10. Think of our 10 number rules: 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Those are all multiples of 10, because it would be 1 times 10 is 10, 2 times 10 is 20, 3 times 10 is 30. So we're going to be thinking about how we did or dividing by 10. We're going to be thinking about how we did single digit long division. We're going to kind of mix the two together. When we did division by 10, it was easy. Cut off that last digit in the ones place, that's your remainder. Not quite that simple, but a really important lesson for us to have to get ready for double digit divisors. So this is our worksheet in the Learn at Home packet, reteaching lesson 10, and it says dividing by multiples of 10, and then they refresh our memory on the long division steps. They say use long division to divide by multiples of 10, just like dividing by 10. So divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. Remember, we have that fifth step. We want to always remember that you have to divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, bring back, because we don't want you to forget. You need to go back and do all those steps again with the digits in the next column over and the next column over until you run out of digits in your dividend. And then you know that you either have an even quotient or you have a remainder. So then they say, also remember, use 0 as a placeholder and place a digit above each digit. And they say each digit, and that's not specific enough for me. Each digit in your dividend. So your quotient should have a number above each digit in your dividend. You should have a digit in your quotient above each digit in your dividend. And this is going to be the first time that you're going to have to use double zeros as placeholders. So that's helping to get us ready for dividing by double-digit divisors. So we're going to go through a couple of examples. This first one, we're only going to do one placeholder for 0. So let's say we have 88 is our dividend. I'm going to put that in my division box. 88 is my dividend. 30 is my divisor. Now 30 is a multiple of 10. If this had been 10, I could just take the digit in the ones place and I would know my answer would be 8 remainder 8. That's not going to be this simple because we don't have a 10 here, we have a 30 here. So I know anytime I have a double digit divisor, I'm automatically going to have to use a 0 as a placeholder for my first digit when I'm dividing, because you can't fit a double-digit number inside of a single-digit number. So you're always going to have at least 1 0 placeholder in your quotient if you are dividing by double-digit divisors. So 0 times 30 is 0. 8 minus 0 is 8. Now I'm going to bring down my 8. Now I have a 2-digit dividend, a 2-digit divisor. My dividend is larger than my divisor, so I know I can divide my dividend by my divisor. Now I'm not going to have to use another placeholder. Now, when you're dividing by multiples of 10, you can kind of think about what you do if it was a single digit and you didn't have a ones place. So I could kind of ignore this 0. I can kind of ignore this 8. Not really, but I can kind of put it in the back of my head. And I could look at 3 and 8. If I was dividing 8 by 3, I know that 3 would go into 8 2 times. 30 is going to go into 88 2 times then. So I'm going to put a 2 in my quotient. 2 times 30, multiplying by multiples of 10 is easier because I know 2 times 3 is 6. Put a 0 on the end. It's 60. 8 minus 0 is 8. 8 minus 6 is 2, 28. I don't have any more digits to bring down, so I have a huge remainder. Remember, anytime that your remainder is larger than your divisor, you need to go back and double check because you could have a larger number in your quotient. Your remainder has to be smaller than your divisor, and 28 is really close to 30, but it's not larger than 30. It's smaller, so it's my remainder because I can't fit 30 into 28. So 2 remainder 28 is my quotient. I'm going to try another single digit one, and then we're going to try one where you are a single digit placeholder. Then we'll try one where you're going to have a double 0 for a placeholder. So we're going to do one more with a single digit placeholder. So I'm going to do 760, and we're going to divide by 50. So I can't divide a single digit number by a double digit number. I can't divide 7 by 50, so I need a placeholder here. 0 times 50 is 0. 0 property there. Now it's 76. Now I can kind of not think about this 0 right now, not think about the 6 right now. I can look at the 7 and the 5. 5 can only fit into 7 one time. So my quotient is going to be 1. 1 times 50, identity property, is 50. 6 minus 0 is 6. 7 minus 5 is 2. 260 now is my dividend divided by 50. Now, I'm not going to just look now at my first digit in the dividend. I'm going to look at the first 2 digits now. So I'm going to ignore the very last digit in my dividend, the very last digit in my divisor, and I'm going to think about what is 25 or 26 divided by 5. 26 divided by 5, I can fit 5 into 26 5 times. So I'm going to put 5 in my quotient. 5 times 5 is 25 plus my 0 on the end is 250. 6 minus 5 is 1. 2 minus itself is 0. I don't have any more numbers to bring down. So my remainder is 10. 15, remainder 10 for my quotient. Now we're going to do one where we have to have double digits as a placeholder. 0. I should say double 0 because you don't use any other digit as a placeholder, only zeros. So we're going to try 493 divided by 60. So Automatically, I have to use one placeholder because I can't divide a single digit number by a double digit number. 0 times 60 is 0. 4 minus 0 is 4. I'm bringing down my 9. $60 is still larger than my dividend. I can't fit 60 into 49. So I have to use another 0 as a placeholder. Zero times 60 is 0. $49 minus 0 is still 49. I hope I'm not going to run out of space on this whiteboard. I maybe should have written a little bit smaller, but I want to make sure you can see it. So I'm bringing down the 3. Now it's 493 divided by 60, and I can do 493 divided by 60. So I'm not going to need another placeholder. I'm going to have a digit in my quotient, and I can kind of put that 3 out of my mind for a second, put that 0 out of my mind for a second, and just think about 49 divided by 6. What's the closest one that I can fit in there? If I'm doing my 6 numbers, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48. 48 is going to be the closest. I'm going to put an 8 here in my quotient. 8 times 6 is 48 with a 0 on the end. Now I'm back to using all 3 digits in my problem. 3 minus 0 is 3. 9 minus 8 is 1. 4 minus itself is going to be 0. No other digits to bring down. 8 remainder 13 for my quotient. So some of this is review. Some of this is new. You guys are used to doing long division. Just remember that when we've been working on it in class, we're doing 5 steps: divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, bring back. Now we're go to the next digit over. Remember to always use placeholders because that helps you remember that you need to have a digit above every digit in your dividend. Your quotient has to have a digit above every digit in the dividend. That helps you also to make sure that your columns are staying lined up and you're not skipping any numbers. I wasn't too lined up at the end because I started writing smaller. I was afraid I was going to run out of space. But use arrows, make sure your columns stay lined up, use zeros for placeholders. And the big new concept is that now we are using 2-digit dividends. When you are dividing by 2-digit dividend, you can, for tens, when they're multiples of tens, you can kind of put that last digit out of your mind for just a moment to help you figure out what number you need to put in your quotient. Then when you put your number in your quotient and you multiply your quotient by your divisor, make sure you're using all of your digits again when you're doing the subtraction part. All right, good luck, 3rd grade.